Just before we get into this run, I want to apologise if you see any rough cuts in this edit. I've only got the draft footage to work with, as the main run footage has somehow gotten lost somewhere in the ether. It's a spectacular run though, and I didn't want you all to miss it, so please do enjoy. Noctowl is the Route 1 bird of Generation 2. It's much more defensively minded than its counterparts from Kanto Pidgeot, and that means we're going to have to play an awful lot more strategically than we otherwise would have done. Will our low attack and high defense hinder us, or will it be a blessing in disguise? Let's find out together. And just before we get into this run, I want to say thank you all once again for the support you showed the Raichu run. That really was a difficult run, and thank you all so much for your feedback. We'll be doing a couple of redos of that line. We'll start with a Pikachu with a Light Ball, and then we'll try some other strategies to try and get that Pichu to evolve a little bit quicker, so do watch out for streams on those. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do make sure you are if you want to see more content like this, and if you enjoy this run, please do consider leaving a like. But for now, let's take a look at the stats of our Hoothoot. As always, we start at level 5, and this time we have 22 HP. We're holding a berry, and our moves are Tackle and Growl. We have 8 in attack, 8 in defense, 8 in special attack, 10 in special defense, and 10 in speed. So out of all the normal flying Pokemon we have run so far, this one is definitely the most defensive of the lot. We're going to have to use our defense to our advantage, taking advantage of moves like Hypnosis and Reflect, but for now let's take a little look at our first encounter. It was a level 2 male Rattata, and it was 3 shots and a tackle miss as well. We'll now make our way towards Mr. Pokemon's house, doing a little bit of grinding en route. And this time we grow all the way up to level 7. And just before we grow to level 7, we learn Foresight. Foresight means we can hit Ghost type Pokemon with our normal stab moves, so that might come in handy a little bit later on. And just while we're in Mr. Pokemon's house, I want to address something that came up in the comments in the Raichu video. In all of these main runs, the ones with the 40 odd Pokemon on the leaderboard, we will always start with the lowest form of the line. It's been that way ever since August the 15th, the very first release on this channel, and to qualify for that leaderboard we do need to start as that lowest form. And I will take this opportunity to tell you I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Cyndaquil with Hoothoot. There wasn't really anything too suitable with the Universal Pokemon Randomizer, so I just chose the one that could hit us the hardest. Well, we're through the first rival battle. We'll tell the police officer that the rival's name is triple question mark, and we'll grab the Pokeballs off Professor Elm's aid. And we can now start our quest to obtain all 16 badges. Our first destination, of course, is Violet City. And in Violet City, we have the definite flying gym waiting for us. I believe I misspoke and called it the electric gym in the last run. However, it is definitely a flying type gym. And to give us all a little bit of a taster of how the Pidgey line will perform, I've decided to show this battle against the second gym trainer here. We lost a whole 20 HP in that battle, and that definitely means we're going to need to grind before we even consider taking on Falkner. Fortunately for us though, at level 11 we will learn Peck, and that will allow us to get through the Sprout Tower and get those much needed levels. So we'll start ascending the tower now, and at the tippy top of the tower we meet Elder Lee. Elder Lee has a pair of Bellsprouts and a Hoothoot for good measure. Peck makes light work of the first Bellsprout, and it's looking like it's going to be a 3-shot on the Hoothoot. The second Bellsprout comes out and it's another 1-shot. We grow just shy of level 14, and that will hopefully be more than enough to now see us through the first gym. Playing as a Hoothoot, being a more defensively minded Pokemon, we definitely have to play more conservatively. But now it's time for Falkner, our first gym leader together. He's a flying type specialist who led with Pidgey. Pidgey's already down before I finish the intro, and that brings us onto the Pidgeotto. We start nibbling away at it, and a few pecks later we knock it out, we grow to level 14, and we get the Zephyr badge in a time of 11 minutes and 23 seconds, which is a relatively slow time, but please do bear in mind we've already done Sprout Tower. So now let's make our way southwest towards Azalea Town and the Ilex Forest, where our HM friends are waiting for us. And the first HM friend we encounter this time is Psyduck. And on Team Psyduck, amongst many other names, we have Snowy, we have William St. Germain, we have Dr. Koof, Dylan Davies, Nikolai Tesla, and SK as well. And the second HM friend we encounter is Paris. And on Team Paris, we have Metal Hammer, Paul Anthony, Andrew Sandshrew, Peachleaf, Frenchie, Vetzler, Seaduke, Muda, and Gemma Barnes. Psyduck is going to be helping us out with Surf, Strength, Waterfall, and Whirlpool, and Paris is going to be helping us out with Cut, Flash, Dig, and Sweet Scent if we need it. And with the HM friends safely tucked away in the bag for another run, we're now in the Slowpoke well, where we're going to grow to level 16 and learn one of the most important moves in this run. We're going to say goodbye to Growl and hello to Hypnosis. Hypnosis might only be 60% accurate, but it will help us out an awful lot in a pinch. And now that we've cleared out the Slowpoke well, we can make our way into our second gym together. This, of course, is the Bug Gym. Its leader is Bugsy, and he leads with a Metapod. Hoot Hoot takes one look at the Metapod, gives it a little peck and thinks, that's delicious lunch. For the main course we have a Kakuna, and it's 2 shots to knock out the Kakuna with peck, and here comes Bugsy's ace. It's a Scyther and our Hoot Hoot goes hoot at it to send it to sleep, and then we can get to pecking once more. We probably didn't need to use Hypnosis in this battle, but better to be safe than sorry, and we get through the gym in a time of 19 minutes exactly. We can't celebrate for too long though, because Rival 2 is just around the corner. He of course has now evolved his starter into a Croconaw, and that could prove to be very, very dangerous for us. Before we get through the Croconaw though, we have to get through this Ghastly. We send it to sleep before it gets a chance to send us to sleep, and then we get to pecking. 2 nibbles later and it goes down and we're on to the Zubat. There's absolutely no need to send the Zubat to sleep because it doesn't really hit us hard at all. And now we're on to the Croconaw. We're just going to try and brute force our way through this Croconaw as we're holding a berry. And several pecks later the Croconaw goes down, Hoot Hoot has filled up enough for lunch, and it gets an evolution. We are now a Noctowl. This is the one and only evolution of this run. We get it very early on and we have a lovely buff to our defensive stats there. So let's now make our way through the Ilex Forest, returning the Farfetch to the Chopping Master. Our reward for that is Cuts, which we instantly teach to Paris, and now it's time to catch our third HM friend. This one, of course, is Abra, and amongst many other names on Team Abra, we have William, we have Austin, we have Pariah, we have Mariah, we have Combe, we have MKA, Connor Walton, and Baby T. And Abra, of course, is going to be helping us out with Teleport. And now that we're in Goldenrod City, we'll pick up the bike so that we can move quick, sharp and in a hurry, and it's time to pick up our final HM friend. This one, of course, is Kenya, and amongst many other people on Team Kenya, we have Dr. Chops, we have Benjo, we have Nichols, we have Sven, we have Travis, we have Ashley Carey, we have Wolf and Tom Fanto. So thank you to everybody for joining the HM Friends. Apologies that I can't read everyone's name out in time, but if you do want to join the HM Friends and get your name on a team, the link is in the description below. And with that, we find ourselves at Whitney's gym. Whitney is of course our third gym leader together. She is a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We send the Clefairy to sleep before it gets a chance to hit us with a pesky metronome, and we knock it out in 2 shots. Arguably the bigger threat this time is the Miltank. We do get hit by a single rollout, but we knock it out on our second turn, and then Swift is doing next to nothing at all. We're very much relying on sleep luck here, and fortunately for us, everything goes our way. We get through Whitney on our very first attempt in a time of 25 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's now reap the rewards of beating Whitney by going into the flower shop next door and picking up the Squirts bottles so that we can annoy that pesky tree that's been blocking the way between Violet, Ecruteak and Goldenrod cities. We can now make our way into Ecruteak City, and our first destination is going to be a visit to the Kimono Girls. And because we learn a level up move against one of the Kimono Girls, I can't show you the battle with Jolteon, but with our huge special defense it went incredibly well. Instead we've just beaten up a Vaporeon and we have grown to level 25. At level 25 we say goodbye to Foresight because it's a little bit redundant on our learn set, and we say hello to Reflect. Reflect is going to be buffing our physical defense for 5 moves at a time. And after collecting Surf from the man staring at the stage, we take a trip east towards the Lake of Rage. At the Lake of Rage we'll pick up a rare candy and we'll also pick up Hidden Power. In a break from tradition with our other normal flying types, this time we're going for Hidden Power Ice. Our special attack stat is far greater than our physical attack stat, so to me it makes sense to play to our strengths. We're not going to be learning that for a little while though, instead we're going to be taking on the third rival battle. And this time he leads with Haunter. We're going to send the Haunter to sleep straight away before it gets a chance to swear at us, and then we're going to start pecking it. 2 shots later and it goes down, and here comes the Pokemon I have been worried about. We have next to nothing at all for Magnemite, so we're going to get to swifting it, taking advantage of our huge level gap, and we knock it out in 3 shots, and up next is Zubat. Zubat gets sent to sleep because it does know Confuse Ray at this point, and it's 1 shot with Swift, and his final Pokemon is Croconaw. We aren't able to send the Croconaw to sleep on the first couple of turns, so we decide to just wing it. We knock it out in 3 swifts as he gets a critical hit, and we're through the third rival battle in just over half an hour. We're definitely speeding things up a little bit as we release the beasts, and we can start thinking about our next gym. This one, of course, is Morty's gym. He is a ghost and poison type specialist. He's our 4th leader together, and of course he leads with that pesky Ghastly. This Ghastly loves to swear at us, and it makes no exception here. We're not going to get through being cursed, so we're going to try again, and hopefully this time we send it to sleep. We do that on our very first turn, and then we get to pecking it. It's a 2 shot to knock it out, and we are on to the Haunter. We send Haunter to sleep straight away as well, because this also knows Curse, and 2 pecks to knock it out. Up next is the Gengar. Gengar's got nothing really too dangerous to hit us with. Hypnosis misses twice in a row, and we were holding the Mince Berry just in case. That leaves his final Haunter, who looks at us funny, but we knock it out in 2 shots and we get the Fog Badge in a time of 35 minutes and 28 seconds. Let's now head west towards Olivine City, and our first destination in the city is the cafe. The man eating at the table is going to give us a Strength HM. We'll teach that to Psyduck straight away along with Surf, and then we'll ascend the Lighthouse and have a little chat with Jasmine. Jasmine tells us that poor Amphi is still not well, so we've got to make another trip across the open waters towards Cyanwood City. The first thing we'll do in Cyanwood City is pick up the medication for Amphi, but she's going to have to wait a little bit. We've got a gym to take on, and this is one of those gyms where we have the type advantage. It's Chuck's fighting gym. He's our 5th leader together, and he leads with Primeape. We tried twice to hit this Primeape with Hypnosis to no avail, but we do eventually hit it on our 3rd turn, and then we set up a Reflect just in case of Dynamic Punch from the Poliwrath. We get to pecking the Primeape, and it's 2 shots to knock it out, and here comes the Poliwrath. Poliwrath misses Dynamic Punch number 1 and Dynamic Punch number 2. The RNG was not in Chuck's favour there, and we knock it out, and we get a Storm Badge in a time of 40 minutes and 6 seconds. And with that badge safely tucked away, we'll have a little chat with Chuck's wife. She's going to give us the Fly HM, and even though we can learn Fly, we're not going to. Having a base 35 power move every 1 turn is just about the same as having a base 70 power move every 2 turns, except Peck is 100% accurate. But now we're facing the red Gyarados, and goodness me, this thing can be vicious. Defense stats mean nothing when you've got a fixed damage move on your enemy's learn set. We send it to sleep though, and we knock it out with Swift. We obtain the red scale, and it's now time to chat with everyone's favourite liar with the Flyers. He takes us around the underground where nothing of great importance happens. We do get HMO6, which is Whirlpool, off the liar, and now it's time to take on Price's gym. Price is an Ice-type specialist who will lead with Seal. Seal is pure water, but it does have an Ice-type move on it. However, our special defense is massive. An in-battle special defense stat of 96 at the moment, and that means that we can keep taking those hits as hard as Price wants to send them. On top of that, of course, we also have Hypnosis, so these enemy Pokemon are barely getting a chance to hit us. We send the Pidoswine to sleep straight away, and it's looking like it's going to be a 3-shot with Swift. And we got very lucky to keep him out of healing range there to get Price's Glacier Badge in a time of 46 minutes and 36 seconds. Let's now move out of the gym and over towards the Lighthouse once more. At the tippy top of the Lighthouse, we'll give the medication to Jasmine. She heals up that poor Ampharos, and we can both make our way towards the gym. And I'll be perfectly honest with you all, I have no real strategy for this gym, apart from holding a Paralyzed Cure Berry and winging it. It's Jasmine's Steel Gym. She's our 7th leader together, and she leads with Magnemite. The battle starts off probably as bad as it could do, with Thunderwave hitting twice and our Hypnosis missing twice, and that battle just became a big old mess, so we're going to have to try once more, this time with Hidden Power Ice on our learn set. So we send the Magnemite to sleep, but not before being paralysed once. We get to Hidden Power Icing it, and it's going to be a 3-shot. The Magnemite stayed asleep as long as it needed to, so we knock it out, and we're on to the second Magnemite. We're very lucky there to get a Hypnosis hit on turn 1, and once again this Magnemite plays ball and stays asleep just as long as we need it. That brings us on to the Steelix. Steelix goes to sleep on turn 1, we set up a Reflect because of that pesky Iron Tail, and then we get to Hidden Powering it. It's another 3 shots, but Jasmine does heal her Steelix. In Generation 2, the AI can only use healing items on the highest level Pokemon, but we brute force our way through to get the Mineral Badge in a time of 49 minutes and 39 seconds. And with 7 badges acquired, we can now make our way to Goldenrod City. We'll pick up the Return TM, and now we're going to do a relatively unseen part of this run. The rocket section normally doesn't have anything interesting at all happening. However, we grow to level 41 against this rocket grunt, and at level 41 we learn Confusion. Confusion is by no means a great move, but it's a special attack, so we can take advantage of our special attack, and it's also super effective against an awful lot of Pokemon we're going to be coming up against. So we said goodbye to Swift and hello to Confusion, and we can now make our way towards the 4th rival battle. Just before the 4th rival battle though, we're going to say goodbye to Reflect. It's served its purpose against Jasmine, and we'll teach Return in its place. That way we still have a strong stab normal type move to go alongside our much needed special coverage. Confusion is a 2-shot against this Golbat, which is still better than nothing, and we're onto that pesky Magnemite line again. It's a double miss on turn 1, but our Hypnosis hits on turn 2, and then we get to returning it. It's 2 shots to knock out the Magnemite, and he sends out Haunter. Our low base power Confusion combined with our low special attack means it's 2 shots on the Haunter, and we're back to return on the Sneasel. Even Sneasel isn't a 1-shot in this battle. That just shows how defensive we are. We're taking very little damage, but we're not hitting hard at all. It's 3 shots on the Feraligatr to finish off the rival though, and with that we can make our way to the top of the radio tower. We rescue the Director for another run and we'll pick up our rewards. Our first reward of course is the pink bow from Marie, and our second reward is the radio card. We'll need the radio card a little bit later on combined with the Expan Pass so that we can get through the Snorlax in Kanto. So now let's make our way back to Mahogany Town and head east in towards the Ice Path. There are a couple of important items in the Ice Path this time. The first one of course is HMO7, which is Waterfall, and the second one is the Nevermelt Ice. In Generation 2, the Nevermelt Ice provides a 10% boost to your Ice type moves, and we'll test that out right away against Claire's Dragon Gym. She's our 8th leader together, and thank goodness Hidden Power Ice is a 1-shot. This gym is an absolute nightmare if you've already used your Paralyzed Cure Berry on Jasmine, so there was a huge sense of relief when I saw that I was OHKOing all of Jasmine's Dragonair. We're now onto the Kingdra though, and our plan is just to annoy Claire into submission. We can't hit it very hard at all, so we're just going to have to keep it asleep and keep hitting it with Hidden Power. A few shots later it goes down and we have Claire's badge in a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes and 16 seconds. We're on a remarkably good pace for a defensive and not very quick Pokemon. Let's see if we can keep that up heading towards the Pokemon League, because now that we've got all 8 badges, that is our next destination. And at the end of Victory Road we see the rival for the very last time in this run. He is going to lead with Sneasel this time, but we have Return on our learn set, so we knock it out in 1 shot and we are on to the Magneton. Once again we've still got nothing great for that line, so we're going to send it to sleep and start pestering it with Return. 3 shots later and it goes down because we've got a bad damage roll on the second turn, and out comes the Golbat. Hidden Power Ice, boosted by the Nevermelt Ice, is more than strong enough to take care of that, and we swapped Confusion for the Haunter. We're at a much better level now, so the Haunter goes down in 1, and Kadabra's got no physical defense, so that also gets knocked out with a single shot as well. And we're finishing how it began against his starter. We knock it out in 2, and we say thank you to the rival for an excellent set of battles for another run. But now it's time to heal up in the Pokemon League, whether we need it or not. And we'll say thank you to our in-game HM friends. It's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck and to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get some well-deserved rest while Noctowl takes on the league. We'll buy our 4 full restores, and now let's take a look at our stats in big before taking on the league. We've got 197 HP at level 52. We are holding the Nevermelt Ice, now moves are Return, Hidden Power Ice, Hypnosis and Confusion. We have only 91 in attack, 88 in defense, 116 in special attack, 137 in special defense, and 111 in speed. So they're the stats we're working with in the league. Will they be enough? Let's find out together as we take on our first league member. It's Will, the Psychic type specialist who leads with Xatu. And honestly, Noctowl should be Psychic Flying. I can understand why they didn't do it with it being a Route 1 bird, but still, it would have made an awful lot more sense. Just look at that learn set. But we're now through the Xatu and we're through his Jinx as well, and here is where we have a little bit of an issue. We have nothing great against the Slowbro. We weren't able to send it to sleep, and that meant he swore at us and paralysed us with Body Slam. We do eventually knock it out with a critical hit though, and we're on to Xatu number 2. We use Hidden Power Ice against the next Xatu to knock it out in 1 shot, and the final Pokemon is Exeggutor. We're fully paralysed and take a lot of psychic damage, but we one-shot the Exeggutor to just about scrape through that battle in a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes and 29 seconds. Koga's next, we have a Psychic type move on our learn set and we are parts flying, which should hopefully mean we get through this battle a little bit easier. It's a 2-shot on the Ariados and now we're onto the Fortress. The Fortress uses Protect on turn 1 and we send it to sleep after a couple more turns. And then I start spamming Hidden Power Ice. We've just got to hope it stays asleep before it goes boom. It wakes up but uses Swift to take off 20 HP worth of damage, and his next Pokemon is Muck. We send the Muck to sleep and then starts confusing it with our Confusion. Confusion doesn't do much though, and he minimalizes. The Muck's confused but is still able to hit us with Toxic, and that means we're on a clock for the Crobat. It's parts flying type, so Hidden Power Ice will hit it for a lot of damage when we eventually connect, but it's not enough to knock it out even with a Nevermelt Ice, and he just keeps on chipping away at us. Toxic eventually does its thing with Wing Attack and we go back to square one. Arguably, the first part of that battle went relatively smoothly, so we just have to focus on taking out that Muck a little bit cleaner. We're back onto the Fortress now though, and I try using Return instead of Hidden Power Ice to see if that does anything better. Honestly though, it's roughly much of a muchness. We did get a critical hit in the mix there to make sure it didn't go boom, and we're back onto that Nemesis Muck. Muck really was the bane of our existence last time. We get a lucky critical hit with Hidden Power Ice and we're able to take it down in 3 shots as it stays asleep, and here comes Crobat once more. We don't manage to hit it with Hypnosis on the first or second turns as it sets up a double team. Hypnosis hits on the third turn as he uses a full restore. We get a critical hit from Hidden Power Ice though, and we are on to the Venomoth. Venomoth's a lovely one shot at the end and we're through Koga on our second attempt. Up next is Bruno. Bruno of course is a fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. The only thing Hitmontop can really hit us with is Quick Attack, but I still want to send it to sleep. I am terrified of Machamp's Rock Slide, so we're going to do everything we can to make sure we're going in with as little damage as possible. Onix of course has virtually no special defense whatsoever, so it's an easy one-shot with Hidden Power Ice. We get Muck punched by the Hitmonchan as we send it to sleep. Return isn't quite a one-shot though, so we have to take it out with a second return, and here comes the Machamp. We send it to sleep straight away and we get to returning it. We take off over half health in the first turn, over half health on the second turn, and we're on to the Hitmonlee. The dangerous Pokemon is over, Hitmonlee's a mere formality, and we're through Bruno in a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes and 22 seconds. Karen's next, of course, the Dark-type specialist who leads with Umbreon. Karen played ball with us for once and didn't use Sand Attack on her first turn, so we send it to sleep and knock it out in 2 further shots, and we are on to the Gengar. Gengar has a potty mouth, so we've got to make sure it goes to sleep so that we don't breach any family-friendly stuff on this channel, and we are on to the Murkrow. Murkrow, of course, is going to be a one-shot with Hidden Power Ice, so she sends out Houndoom. The Houndoom takes a nap as we get to returning it. Our first shot takes it into healing range, and that means that Karen is in a healing loop now, so we've just got to keep brute forcing a little bit and it goes down. Her final Pokemon is Vileplume. We send the Vileplume to sleep just to be safe, and then we Hidden Power Ice it. 2 hits is enough to take care of it once and for all. We grow to level 56 and we're through Karen on our very first attempt, and that means there's only one thing standing in the way of us and the Hall of Fame. It's the liar with the flyers, it's Lance time, the supposed Dragon-type specialist who will lead with that not Dragon Gyarados. We're going to try and send the Gyarados to sleep, but it didn't work on the first 2 turns, but Flail is very, very weak when Gyarados is at full health. We get to returning and it's going to be 2 shots on the Gyarados to knock it out. Up next is Dragonite's number 1. We go straight for Hidden Power and thank goodness it's once again a one-shot. These Dragonites are 4 times weak to ice, so it's as simple as pressing Hidden Power on both of those. Now here comes the real issue. This is an Aerodactyl with Rock Slide, it outspeeds us and knocks us out. Aerodactyl cannot get Rock Slide legitimately, I don't believe, in Generation 2, so Lance is cheating. We've got to take a reset and get all the way back to that pesky Aerodactyl. Not only is it bad enough having a super effective move on his learn set, but one that can make us flinch as well. Goodness me, Lance, I'm going to be having words with the Pokemon League. The Aerodactyl gets sent to sleep though, and that's enough for us to take it down into the red. Aerodactyl wakes up and sends us to 25 HP with another Rock Slide. But we grow to level 57 and we learn Dream Eater. We're going to say goodbye to Confusion and hello to Dream Eater, and we are still in with a shout. We send the Charizard to sleep and we start eating its dream. Our Noctowl drinks the Charizard's HP, getting back up to 97 HP as his final Dragonite comes out. We risk it and go straight for the KO with Hidden Power Ice, and it pays off and we are through Lance in a time of 1 hour, 18 minutes and 7 seconds. What a stroke of fortune. I don't think we've had a champion battle as dramatic as that for a very, very, very long time. Our league time is 1 hour, 18 minutes and 23 seconds. Don't you dare go anywhere though, because Kanto is next. And after a little breather, we're back where it all began outside our home in Newbark Town. Professor Elm's got a present for us. He's going to give us the SS ticket, and that will allow us to access the main chunk of Kanto. Before we go there though, we've got a couple of bits to finish off here in Johto. The first thing we're going to do is welcome back our HM friends. It's a warm welcome back to Kenya, Abra, Psyduck and Paris, and now we're going to make our way into Mount Mortar. In Mount Mortar we have one of two remaining rare candies in Johto, and the other one is in the Whirl Islands. And if you're wondering why we picked these up now, you need Waterfall for that first rare candy, and we've got to go to Olivine anyway, so we might as well grab it while we're in the neighbourhood. But now a quick spin means that we are in Kanto, and the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokémon Fan Club. We'll now cycle north through Saladon City, but there's nothing for us to do there at the moment, so we'll head west into Saladon City and we'll pick up the leftovers from the bin in the cafe. Those leftovers combined with our great special bulk should mean that Red will have a very hard time knocking us out. For now though, let's keep on the Nevermelt Ice as we say hello to Erica. Erica is our 9th gym leader together. She's a grass type specialist who led with Tangela, but it got knocked out before I had a chance to introduce it. As did the Jumpluff, and we're already onto a Victory Bell. Victory Bell goes down in one shot and that just leaves Blossom. Blossom is remarkably tanky but locks itself into Petal Dance. That means that she can't heal and we defeat her in a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes and 3 seconds. Up next is Misty. Misty is a water type specialist who led with Golduck, but Golduck is already down. And here's the Pokemon I've been worried about. My dyslexia kicks in because I'm stressed about the Lapras and I accidentally hit it with a hidden power instead of Hypnosis. That causes it to perish song and we're on a clock for the Starmie. Our perish count hits 0 and we have to take a reset and go all over again. It's very rare that my dyslexia causes a misplay as bad as this, but it happened in this run and we had to pay the price. We're back onto the Lapras zone, we knock it out and we are onto the Starmie. No perish song for us this time, we critical hit it, and the next Pokemon is Quagsire. Quagsire also gets knocked out with a critical hit and we've defeated Misty and gotten the Cascade Badge in a time of 1 hour, 27 minutes and 58 seconds. Up next is Sabrina. Sabrina of course is a Psychic type specialist who leads with Espeon, but Espeon goes down in a single return. Mr. Mime gets knocked out with a critical hit and that just leaves Alakazam. Alakazam gets knocked out in one shot as well, so that was a very easy battle, and we get Sabrina's badge in a time of 1:28:35. Up next is Surge. Surge has a Magneton, and that could prove to be quite pesky. We've got to get through the Raichu first though, and we send it to sleep just to be safe. We use Hypnosis against the Magneton, and thank goodness it went to sleep. That means we can hit it with 2 returns to knock it out, and that is the most dangerous Pokemon of this gym all taken care of. Electabuzz is no issue at all for return, and neither is the Electrode. We one-shot both of those, his final Electrode comes out, we hit that with return to knock it out, and we get Surge's badge in a time of 1 hour, 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Up next is Brock, the Rock-type specialist. He leads with Graveler. We use Hidden Power Ice against the Graveler and it's an easy one-shot, so he sends out Onix. Onix has poor special defense as well, so we knock it out in 1 hit. And up next is Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn's also weak to ice, so we knock it out in 1. And here is where I forget that Rock isn't weak to ice, it's ground. I used Hidden Power Ice against the Omastar, but honestly Return and Hidden Power Ice did pretty much the same damage. We get through it though, and his final Pokemon is Kabutops. Kabutops is much less defensive, so we knock it out in 2 returns, and we get Brock's badge, the Boulder badge, in a time of 1 hour, 31 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's now cycle south towards Cinnabar Island, passing 3 Drill en route, and we'll take a trip on the open seas once more. At Cinnabar Island, we see Blue is waiting for us. He tells us all about that pesky volcano that's erupted and destroyed half of the island. We'll pick up a rare candy here though that someone seems to have forgotten about, and we'll surf east towards the Seafoam Islands. That is where Blaine has relocated. He is our 14th gym leader together. He's a Fire-type specialist who will lead with Magcargo. Now we don't have anything too great against the Magcargo, but Magcargo's physical attack isn't that good either. We knock it out in 3 returns and we're practically back to full health for the Bumhead Fireduck. That gets knocked out in a single hit, and his final Pokemon is Rapidash. We outspeed it, we grow to level 64, and we've defeated Blaine in a time of 132.43. Up next is everyone's favourite pushover, it's Janine. Janine leads with Crobats, but it goes down in a single critical hit return, so she tries with a Weezing. Weezing doesn't do any better, so she sends out another one. That gets knocked out, and now she's getting desperate. She sends out a spider to try and scare me, but we just get rid of that straight away, and so she finishes off with a moth. She doesn't even try to die a hit, and we're through Janine in a time of 1 hour 33 minutes and 29 seconds. And that means we're on to our final gym leader, it's Blue time. He leads with Pidgeot, so it's Gen 1 Bird versus Gen 2 Bird. We return for over half health as Wing Attack takes a little bit of damage off us, and up next is Rhydon. We have Hidden Power Ice, but we don't quite one-shot it, and that lets him set up a Sandstorm. That is the most brutal of all the weather conditions in Generation 2, because it whittles you down, it slows the run down, and it gives you damage, so we're going to try and bait out a Rain Dance from this Gyarados. That's exactly what happens as he Rain Dances and gets caught in a healing loop. This is what we needed at this point in the battle, because that means we are regaining all the way back to full HP just as we knock it out without taking any further damage. Arcanine's next, and he uses extreme speed because it's still raining, but we chip off over half health with Return. We outspeed on the next turn because he was going to go for a fire type move, and that brings us onto the Executor. Leech Seed is meaningless as we're able to knock it out in 2 shots, and we get the final badge in a time of 1 hour 34 minutes and 51 seconds. And that's it. All 16 badges have been acquired. The only thing left to do is take on Red. We're on quite a good pace considering our stats at the moment, but how well do you think we will do? Are we strong enough and on a good enough time to make it into the top 10? Maybe you think the top 15 or maybe even the top 20. Let me know down in the comments below your final prediction for Noctowl. But for now, I'll tell you this is Red. He is our final boss of the game. He's a mixed type specialist who leads with Pikachu. Pikachu outspeeds us, but Charm misses and we don't quite one-shot. He's going to use his full restores on the Pikachu because it's his highest leveled Pokemon, and we still don't one-shot it with any of them. Pikachu missed his Thunder though, and that gives us a chance. We send the Blastoise to sleep, and then we get to eating its Dream. Dream Eater doesn't do too much at all, and neither does Return. We are just going to have to keep chipping away at it. It's 4 shots to knock out the Blastoise, and we are on to Espeon. We're doing very well so far, but Psychic hits us for a lot of damage. We do send the Espeon to sleep, thank goodness, and it's looking like another 2-shot with Return. And that brings us on to the Snorlax. Snorlax has the potential to stop this Red fight in its tracks. We send it to sleep on the first turn though, and that means it doesn't set up Amnesia. We've got to keep this Sleepy Bear asleep as long as possible. We eat its Dream to get our health back up a little bit, and he is snoring. Fortune is smiling upon us though as we get a critical hit on its last turn of sleep to knock it out, and we are on to Charizard. Charizard hits very hard with Flamethrower, but we send it to sleep and then we start drinking its Dream. We are going to drink all that HP to get up as high as possible. I don't want to risk this Charizard waking up and our move failing though, so I swap to Return and finish it off with 2 more hits. That just leaves Venusaur left to go. Hypnosis misses on turn 1, but it connects on turn 2 and we can start eating its Dream. Dream Eater is super effective and takes off over half health on turn 1, but we get a bad damage roll on turn 2. He wakes up, Solar Beam hits for a critical hit, but it's all over for Red. We have knocked out the Venusaur, and we have defeated Red on our first try for the very first time ever. 42 runs in, and it has finally happened. I was so over the moon when this happened, a time of 1 hour 37 minutes and 55 seconds. I still cannot believe that the fabled moment has happened, and it's a well-deserved 10th place on the leaderboard. There was an awful lot of luck in this run. We had luck from the very moment we learnt Hypnosis, and everything just fell in place to give us a top 10 finish. Even watching this run back now, my jaw was on the floor with that Red fight. Unfortunately though, for our former champion Girafarig, that run has pushed it out of the top 10. 1:38.11 used to be a record-breaking time for us, but now it's not even on the first page. Poor Magcargo of course now is down in 42nd place, But with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. If you did enjoy this run, please do click the like button. If you want to see more runs just like this, then please do think about subscribing. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/TraderSquidgy. And until next time, I'll say thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.